welcome to Cannon Crew, a weekly podcast discussing the Charleston Battery. Your host Granite will be joined by other defenders of the fleet from the black and yellow supporters section, and together they will help fortify and conquer. They are the Cannon Crew.
Welcome to the Cannon Crew. I am Granite. I am joined, of course, by Ryan. Ryan, how are you doing?
Doing fantastic, Granite. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right. Tonight's going to be your show because you're going to introduce us to a person that you used to play with in college ball who is played around the world and is now back in South Carolina up in Greenville. Maybe we'll see him this weekend, maybe not. And you guys are good friends. And so I'm going to let you take it over and interview Toby Sims.
Yep. So this evening we're joined by Toby Sims. Toby is a friend of mine. We actually played 4 years together at Chowan University. He was a defender, protected me in goal. Training sessions were absolutely amazing, made campus life so much more enjoyable. Now, man's gone off. He's gone to the professional level. He's made the jump back over to England. And now we're so happy to have you here tonight.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure we've got a few stories we can speak about, and I'm enjoying it. I'm excited to get going.
Oh yeah, so happy to have you. And so Toby, I'm going to jump right into it. I got a lot of questions from my youth soccer players. So I just finished tryouts for also United 09, so they're sophomores and juniors in high school. And for a lot of them now, and especially in like U.S. soccer, we're facing a lot of like the mental health with athletes when it comes to, like, you could relate to this a lot, is like making that jump from like leaving your home, whether it's half hour down the road just to go to an academy, or if it's to another country.
Yeah.
How do you think that impacts?
I think obviously as a soccer player, and younger soccer players, they obviously aspiring to be pros and go to college or go to academies and stuff like that. So I think as much as it impacts you, you've got to expect it to have. You got to expect the impact before it comes. Whether it is across the world and meeting new people and playing in different cultures. I think going there, with an open mind and understanding that you're going to meet different people, play with different players, from different cultures and different backgrounds, and going in there with an open mind is really important. I definitely think it impacts you mentally, not being in your comfort zone, but you get the best out of yourself when you're out of your comfort zone, and in any walk of life, but especially playing soccer.
Yeah. I can agree with that more. And that thing you kept mentioning, that open mind, and that comes a lot too with not just how you carry yourself on and off the field, but also, with the teammates around you, like you said, the different walks of life, but also on the field, being open-minded about playing in different positions potentially and being worked around, because a lot of players, I'm telling them that, or I'm showing them that, you kind of want to be someone showing the coach that you don't want to be taken off the field. And, you're putting yourself in that position to where the coach, if you're a center back, if you made yourself that versatile, maybe puts you at right back, or, keeps you on, and being that open-minded as well on the field.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's definitely really important to be versatile. There's a saying going around at the minute that the best skill you can have at the minute in football is being available. Being available, that can be to do with injuries, or that can be to do with positioning on where you're playing. If you're a centre back and the right back gets injured, can you be trusted to go there and play right back? And that goes for anywhere on the pitch, like you say, right wing to striker, whatever it is. To get the most minutes and be on the pitch, for the longest you can be on the pitch for, is to be able to play in different positions where you need them. Going in with that open mind, thinking, as much as football can be seen as a bit of an individual sport, when you get to the higher ends and you want to do well for yourself, I think you got to go in with the open mind of, well, if I can fill the positions for the team and help the team, then that's the main thing, and that's what can not only help me improve, but help the team improve.
Oh, that's I love that. And When I saw you after we had graduated and you made your move to Pittsburgh and you signed, it was just so shocking to see you go from center back to left winger. Even
Right.
with you for so long and just seeing you at
Mm.
center back, and I mean, you scored 16 goals, and some of them were absolute game winners that were spectacular. And now seeing you at left wing at the professional level, how was that transition? Because I just felt like that was a big jump. Or
Yeah, no, I think. Look, I mean, I'm not a left winger now. I think I played a couple of games at left wing, a couple of games at right wing. Truly now my position is as a pro as a right back. But yeah, I definitely went to Pittsburgh, and I think the first time I played left wing, well, I started right wing in that game, in one game, and then went over to left wing, ended up scoring 2 in the Open Cup. And we went through to the next round, winning 2-0. But no, I think, especially when you get to professional level, it's you play where you put. You know what I mean? Like, I obviously wanted to go into the pro level and continue to be a centre back because that's where I'm probably most comfortable. Because I've played there my whole college career, as you know, and that's how I went in there. But I also knew as well that at the pro level, you play where you can play. That, like I say, the most important thing has been available. So if you wanted me to play right wing, left wing that game, then that's what I've got to do and do my best there. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, at least I know I've done my best.
right, love that. So now those are the questions I got from my players. So now I want to see just wanted to know, how was it growing up in the UK from a young age to play? Was it more about academies or those big name clubs to try and play for, or were there the local teams that were the ones to strive for?
I mean, obviously in England, the main number one sport is soccer. That's it. Obviously we have other sports, but in America you've got 4 or 5 sports that can be seen as the top sport, depending on how you grew up. Where it is in England, it's it's soccer all the way through. So I think growing up, everybody starts in a local club. You'll always start. Nobody ever starts in an academy. You'll always start at a local club, and usually how it goes is your academies will get picked up from the pro team academies, but it'll start regionally. So, for example, if you live in Liverpool, as you're coming up from a local club, the academies that you maybe watched by and picked up by will be Liverpool, Everton. Looking further down the leagues, looking at Tranmere, like teams like that. That it works regionally. Personally, for me, I mean, I was in a local club played for a local club till I was 12, and then I signed for an academy called Sheffield United. Played there for a couple of years, and then went on to Doncaster Rovers. So, yeah, in answer to your question, I mean, you always start at the local club, and then you kind of filter through to academies, and wherever you're based regionally is kind of where you'll always end up. And then the guys that are really, really good will always go on to the top Premier League teams as they play and get older.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. So is there when you're at your youth and is there a player contract if you were to be picked up by like one of those big clubs? Is there like a contract that you sign and it's almost like a player transaction then at that point if you were to want to leave and go somewhere else? Or do you have to like work it out?
No, there is contracts. Obviously there's no monetary value of the contract, I think, until you're 16. Like, you can't earn money, and you can't legally earn money from the team until you're 16. I know you can do expenses or whatever, but there is contracts that you will sign with the clubs, which, like you say, basically just keeps you there as a player. If you want to go somewhere else, then you are technically contracted, but when you're like 10, 11, 12, 13, unless you're like the best thing ever, you're always going to be allowed to move on, because realistically you're still a child, so you want to be able to go and still enjoy your football without having, the pressure of a contract, having to keep a contract. That's something that kind of comes later on. as you get older.
Nice. Nice. So after your time over in being in England and growing up in workshop, how was it leaving the UK to decide that you wanted to come to the US and play?
Wait, Ryan, start again, 'cause it's worksop, not workshop. It's not workshop, it's worksop. So
Worksop.
Go back again.
Workshop.
Work.
Did I say
Worksop.
stop?
You said workshop
Worksop.
as in like a wood workshop. Yeah, it's
Oh,
worksop.
I didn't mean that. No, workshop.
Yes, yeah, there you go. Start that sentence again.
All right. So growing up in England and coming from workshop, how was it deciding to leave the UK and come over to the US and decide to play and go to college?
Yeah, it's kind of strange how it comes about in England, really, because I
There's a
came over
gap,
probably
right?
no, I came over probably a year later than what you should than what you guys usually do. So, well, actually, a semester later. So I came out in the spring, when realistically, like, my year would have come out in August of 2016. I came out in January 2017. So I missed basically half a year just because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But it came about. I knew a mutual with me and Chris Wally, the coach at Chowan. We had a mutual friend who he coached when he was at Leeds McRae. And it kind of came about just like, would going to America and playing in college be something that's of interest to you? And at the start, I was like, not really. Like, I've got family, I've got a girlfriend here. I don't really want to move to the side of the world. And my best friend, who Mitchell Levi Lewis, he did it, and he went out in August of 2016 after I just turned it down to Chowan. And he called me about a month in, about September, and he was like, Toby, you've made the worst decision not coming out here. And obviously I was like, what do you mean? He's like, it's just a different life. Like, the facilities, the soccer, the weather, the college, the people, like everything. So I straight away got back on the phone to Wally, and I said, look, like, I know I've turned you down already, but how can you get me back out there? Because I need to come. And then it all worked out and fell into place for me to come out in January in the spring. But yeah, I just kind of made the decision that I wanted to go a different avenue in my life and experience somewhere else. And I knew I could continue my football as well alongside that, which is obviously important. And obviously, looking back now, it obviously worked out how I wanted it to work out. But I didn't know that at the time. I just wanted to go a different avenue in my life, but obviously continue my football. And that was, at the time, was the best way to do it. And, to this day, it's the best decision I've ever made. So.
And what a time Chowan was, and I love that I got to come in that next semester. So you got there spring of 2017, and I came in August of 2017.
Yeah.
We had some moments. My favorite one was, I want to say it was the second practice we had. We were on the game field, and Walls stopped practice so the keepers could work on setting up a wall, and had me set up. And when it was my turn, had me to try to set up a wall, and you turned around and like, what are you saying? And Walsh just yells at me for saying that this isn't the country club anymore. You have to use your voice. Just
that definitely sounds like something Wally would say, for sure. That is something Wally would say. 100%. We definitely had a few. We had a few moments, Ryan, for sure. A few good moments.
So your time at Chowan, got an undergrad degree. You earned a master's degree.
I didn't finish it. I didn't finish my master's. And I only got halfway through it, and then I got offered to sign for Pittsburgh, so I've left it halfway through. If I kind of want to go back and finish it eventually, but it was either sign a professional contract or finish a master's, so it was a bit of an easy decision for me.
I didn't realize that was the decision.
Yeah, because I got it in, because I actually initially went home after the 4 years during COVID, and then Wally called me and said, look, because of COVID, everybody's got another year. and give you a master's for free if you come back. So I came back January 21. It was like a 3-semester master's. So it was like 18 months. And obviously I did till December, just after the national tournament. And then I still had the spring to finish, but then I got offered to sign for Pittsburgh, so I didn't do it. I just left it.
Wow. So how, so
I was probably going to fail it anyway, I'll be honest. I wasn't doing great. It was a lot of writing.
Oh, I saw Statsy working on it and saw what he had to go through. And I was just like, Toby, you're doing this too. I
was barely doing it, bro. Barely doing it. I was doing enough so I could play. Well, you don't actually. You're really smart, but I was doing enough just so I could play. So,
I mean, I was in the library, and that's where I met Grace. And then
exactly. Now look,
you helped me with that. So that's two really big decisions that in my head that you're very open-minded and you took a risk on yourself. You gambled on yourself, making that jump from the UK to the US. And then there again, with your master's and deciding to go to Pittsburgh and taking that risk saying, I believe in myself enough to go.
I think
that's...
Yeah, and I think the first one, like with me leaving to go to America, I always knew like if I didn't like it, I could always go home. But if I never went and tried it, I'd never know. That was kind of my mindset when I did it, because when I first flew over when I was 19, flying on my own to the other side of the world, I remember I had a transfer or a layover in JFK, and I got there and I called my dad and I was like, I can't do this. Like, get me a flight home. I don't want to go. Like, I can tell already I'm going to hate it. And the best thing my dad's ever said to me was, just go there for a week. And if you don't like it, I'll fly you home. And then after a week, I never wanted to go home again. So, like, as much as it was a risk, it was kind of like a calculated risk, because I knew if it never worked out, I'd always have a home to go back to. You know what I'm saying? Right. But obviously with the Masters kind of thing, look, my whole life, my dream is to be a professional soccer player. So when that came up, nothing would have got in the way of that. A Masters, whatever it would have been at the time, nothing would have ever got in the way, because that's all I've worked for my whole life. So
that's awesome. Yeah, and I remember talking a lot about, especially our senior year, when we would drive over to the golf course and go play. I remember you talking a lot about that, and I knew how important it was for you, though, to want to go back over and play in England. So then after your time at Pittsburgh, going back over to England, how was that going back home and being able to play professionally?
Yeah, I mean, the way it came up was kind of a little bit not out of the blue, because obviously I was left Pittsburgh at the end of 22, had a good rookie season, and I kind of just went home to see my parents. Like, I was supposed to come back out in January to sign for another team in the USL Championship. Obviously, I won't name them because it never actually went through. But I've gone home for Christmas to see my family. Kind of got in talks with an agent back home, and he was like, "Look, while you're home, do you want to stay fit and get in training with the club just to stay sharp?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, I'll do it. Like, where can I go?" And he's like, "Well, it's Harrogate in League Two." And I was like, to play in the Football League in England is seen as like such a privileged thing to do, because it's hard in England to make it, and obviously it's hard anywhere, but in England, because it's such an established country and the football's so established, but to be able to have the opportunity to play in the Football League is a dream of millions of kids. So I was initially just going in there just to train, not even it wasn't even a trial at the start. It was just to go in and train. And, I was there for a couple of weeks, and the coach turned around to me. He's like, "Look, like, at the time, he thought it was a trial. I didn't, but he was like, Toby, you're the best trialist I've ever seen. Like, I there's no way I can not sign you. Like, what does it take to sign you?" And I was like, well, at the time, I'm like, well, not a lot, because I want to play in the Football League, so just give me a contract. So they gave me a 6-month contract and said, "Look, come in and prove yourself," which I did. I played, 20 games in the Football League by the end of that first, because I only went in with half a season to go. So I played 20 games in the Football League. And then they offered me a two-year contract, and that obviously took me up to just about a month ago. So, yeah, it was a shock to go back. It was nice to go back to be able to play in front of my family and friends, because a lot of people in England always said to me, look, you've gone out to America because you're not good enough to play in England. But then to go home and prove that I am, was a big thing for me, and I don't ever want to say, I did it to prove people wrong, because I always want to live and prove people right, the people that believed in me, but, I went home and I did what I said I would do, and I got a chance to play in front of my family week in, week out, and, my friends back at home. And look, obviously the football was great, but the lifestyle of living back in England, it's just not for me, especially when I've got, my now fiance who lives on the other side of the world, so doing long distance and stuff like that. If it wasn't for the football, I wouldn't have done it. So, but yeah, it was good. It was good to go back and, kind of live a dream of mine of playing back there, and play at a good level and prove myself, and kind of make a bit of a name for myself back there. But I was always going to end up back in America at some point. I knew that from the beginning.
That's awesome. So now being back in America, playing for Greenville, how are you looking at this opportunity? What's your mindset going into this opportunity right now?
See, it's one of them really, because obviously after playing the Football League, everybody's like, you can come back and you could look at the MLS and stuff like that. And it's not as easy as that. Like, it's not as easy as what people say it is, Greenville have been really good with me, and, saved me an international spot, because obviously you can only have 7 international players on a team. They saved me an international spot 2 months into the season. They've, been really good to me, for me and my fiance. They've given us a lovely 2-bed apartment and stuff like that. So I'm very grateful. Would probably be the first word for the opportunity. Like, grateful to be back here. But I want to, not that I feel like I haven't proved myself, because I've already played in the USL Championship and I've gone back home playing the Football League, but I want to come back over and prove myself again. I think, now I've gone back and become a bit more of an established pro, because when I was in America before, I was a rookie, right? So then going back home, becoming more established, I want to now come back and prove that I'm a more established professional, and see where that takes me. For me, the sky's the limit. I'm only 27. I'd like to think I'd like to play to at least 35. And I think, with the way I take care of myself, my body, that's definitely something that's doable. So, like I say, I've used the word before. I'm very open-minded with it. Like, I'm coming in and, I want to prove myself. I want to do as well as I can for the rest of this season, and see, where that takes, whether that's with Greenville again next year, or whether that's back in the USL Championship. Whatever comes up, it's something that, I don't want to close any doors, but I also want to do what's best for me right now and best for Greenville. So
that's awesome. I love that. And so I guess the last question that I really have right now is, oh no, I do have 2 more actually. I do have 2 more. One comes from another player. He did ask, you played your summers in college. So for a lot of people out there who aren't kind of like aware of it, while you're in college, you have, during the summer, you have different leagues that college players will go play, whether that's UPSL, NPSL, USL League 2, and stuff like that. What do you think the difference is really between USL 2 and USL Championship?
I mean, I would say, I think, can you still hear me? That screen went off.
Yes, we can hear you.
I would say, the biggest thing for me would be, obviously in the USL Championship, you got a lot of experienced players. I think in USL 2, it's full of, it's obviously college players. So I think obviously the experience of playing at that level is obviously lower playing USL 2. I think the physicality, because obviously you got a lot of older players, a lot of bigger players. The physicality in USL Championship is a lot higher than what it is in USL 2. Because, for example, like I played USL 2 and played USL 2 when I was 23. Sometimes you're playing against 18-year-old guys that are just in college. And obviously there's 18-year-old professionals, but an 18-year-old college player to an 18-year-old professional are two different players. That's why they're in college and pro. So playing against an 18-year-old college player is obviously different in physicality when I'm 23. I'm built, I think I'm built like a man at the age of 23. You know what I'm saying? So I would say obviously, and then just the obvious ones about the speed of play, the talent in USL Championship is obviously very high. But USL 2 is the greatest pathway, I think, to the pro game in America if you're in college. If it wasn't for USL 2, I wouldn't have got my opportunity with Pittsburgh in the first place. Even though I had a great college career. I was, like you said, won nearly all the awards there is to win. I was two-time All-American. But in D2 it doesn't really mean as much as if you're D2 doesn't really mean as much than if you're a D1 player. And a D1 All-American's obviously seen as greater than a D2 All-American by professional clubs. So if it wasn't for USL 2, and in my last season USL 2, I won my National Defender of the Year. So that was kind of what got my name out to them Pittsburgh, for them to then invite me to an invitational combine, which then, obviously worked out for me. I mean, I went to an invitational combine with Pittsburgh. There were 65 players there. I was the only D2 player. And they invited 8 players into preseason and then signed some players from there. So obviously I was grateful to be invited, but I feel like I took the opportunity. So
Wow, that's awesome. So now this is the last question. This is from an active listener right now, and they're wanting to know if you considered in your future of potentially coaching.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think coaching is definitely, something I have a passion for even now. I like to, do like one-on-one sessions and get my coaching work in. I don't know what that looks like for coach. I don't know if that looks, college, club, pro. I don't know what that looks like right now, but it's definitely the next phase of my career. I mean, one, because I love football and the game, and I want to stay in the game for as long as I can. And 2, because I'm not very good at anything else. So, that's definitely something that I want to, while I've got the skills to use, and I feel like I'm a good leader and a good person to teach football, and I have the enthusiasm for it. So I think it's important to use that, in coaching for, whether that's kids, whether that's college players or young pros or whatever that may be.
So you're saying in roughly 8 or so years, I could have a chance at signing you to our new team?
You
If we
could
were to
do,
get a
Ryan.
list out to you down here in Charleston?
You could do, Ryan. That is something that could happen. Obviously I'll have to put you in contact with my agent, Ryan, but no, I'm joking. Of course, Ryan, if you need a coach in 8 years, Ryan, you hit me up.
That's what I want to hear right there. I'd love that.
Don't be trying to, I know what these owners of these clubs trying to do. They're trying to take control of the team. Let me coach the team, Ryan, all right? You run the club, I'll coach the team.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll just make sure Chick-fil-A's there.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A or Moe's, one of the two. Moe's is up there, one of my favorites. Moe's or Chick-fil-A is definitely my 2 favorites. That's the one thing I miss when I was back over there. And Moe's stack was the biggest thing for me.
That is hands down the best. And I remember my first time ever going to Moe's was actually with college on our away trip, because in Virginia we didn't have too many Moe's. It was all Chipotle. And it was you and Mitchell. I was behind in line, and you guys were just talking about how great the stacks were, and couldn't believe I hadn't been, and I'm an American. And ever since then, that's all I get too. It's the best thing on the menu.
It actually really is. You get everything in one. I think it's the best thing. As long as you get loads of queso in it, that's the be all and end all. So, but as long as you get Chick-fil-A and Moe's down there, I just need paying in Moe's stacks. If you pay me in Moe's Stacks or Chick-fil-A sandwiches with no pickles, I'm there.
All right. So when I play this in 8 years, your agent, I got this.
Oh.
It's not a legally binding contract.
Yeah, that's true, Ryan. So don't even try it, Ryan. Seriously.
Shot, right?
Yeah.
No worse than say some stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, well, I think that's all we have tonight. Now I think are you going to be traveling with Greenville this weekend? Is there a chance you'll be in Charleston this weekend?
I will be. Well, obviously, because I'm off the back of like a 46 game season with Harrogate, after then going into another season, which you shouldn't really do for my body, but I wanted to do it, so they're kind of easing me in. Because I didn't play last weekend. I potentially will travel. Yeah, so I'll let you know. I don't know if I'm playing yet, and obviously I won't be able to tell you until the game anyway. But I should be there. If I should be there. Are you going to be there? Will you both be there?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
Sweet. Well, if I'm there, I'll come over and see you for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna be there's a pavilion in front of the stadium, like on the backside, and there's a season ticket holder parking lot. There's a pavilion back there that will have a Blackstone grilling, some soccer balls out there shooting on the nets before the game starts.
Perfect. Well, I'll definitely come over and see you for sure.
Yeah, if when you come in, they'll line you up to come in the tunnel, to come in the field. If you look up, then we'll be standing right above you.
Yeah, with all the flags waving. That's our spot too. Yeah. So you see everything from there.
Perfect. Well, if I see you before, obviously say hello. But then I'll come after the game and have a chat with you if you stick around for a little bit. Yeah, for sure. Be good to see you.
Sounds good.
I got a couple questions.
I'm good. Yeah.
Biggest stadium you played?
Ellen Road, Leeds United, in the FA Cup just this past season, 39,000, which is the best day of my career by a country mile. And my family was there. It was, I felt like I was in a video game. I'll be honest, it was amazing. But that was it. Played a couple of big stadiums, but they're not all been filled. So I think Leeds holds 40,000. There was 39 there that day. I played in Bradford's, which is, they get 20,000 every game. MK Dons, which is a 40,000, but they don't fill it. So yeah, Leeds United have been my answer to that.
So how does that change your mindset when you're going into a match? When you're used to,
empty crowd. I couldn't even think straight the first 15 minutes. Like I was looking around thinking, wow, the amount of people here is ridiculous, and like the noise, and I've watched this stadium on TV. I've played it on video games. I'm playing against players that earn 100,000 a week. It's crazy, but after like 10, 15 minutes, I realized, I might not get this opportunity again. It was just like, grasp it with both hands and, do as best you can and not let the occasion get to you as hard as it was.
We are the holy city, home of the battle ray. Do you hear our cannons roar? Can you feel the thunder? We the fleet of Charleston, come to put you under.
Oh my goodness, edit this out already.
Don't be nervous, Ryan. We used to get changed.
No,
we used to
Ryan.
get changed together in a locker room, Ryan. Don't be nervous.
There's a green flashbang train.
It's too much pressure. You ready, Ryan?
Yeah. Are you gonna redo it or no?
Huh? No, keep rolling. I'll edit it out. Just take a second for pause.